maybe even stressed, and you have no idea why. Like suddenly something happened and all of a sudden you felt these emotions. Has this ever happened to you? Well, if it has, the chances are you've likely triggered off something called an anchor. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to another episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets with myself, Munir Al-Busaidi. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a very, very cool concept that's very, very famous in NLP called anchoring. And basically, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can create something like an emotional switch. How cool would it be if you were able to literally create an emotion just like by the click of a button? And so let me give you a quick analogy of what we're going to be talking about and anchoring in general today. Ultimately, imagine you're going down a path in a forest and you want to find your way back. What you'll do is you find a tree that you haven't been to before and you just like make a mark so that you can find your way back to that tree, so that you know that, okay, I want to go back there, and you can go back there because you've put something in place that allows you to go back. And that's a little bit like anchoring. Anchoring allows us to go back to an emotion or to a feeling that we want to create. Now, this happens automatically. We experience this on a daily basis. And here's why today's subject is so critical, so important for you. Because either you can control your anchors and control the way you feel, or you are being controlled by your anchors, and this ultimately controls how we feel. So like if you've ever just sort of a sudden like been angry and you're sort of and you don't know why, then the chances are you are being controlled by your anchors. Okay, so let me give you a quick couple of examples of what I'm talking about right now. You see this a lot in our everyday lives already. Okay, so let me bring up this. Yeah, so you see it. So for example, you're walking somewhere and you smell this amazing food that all of a sudden takes you back to your childhood, right? Or perhaps you hear this song and it just reminds you of that special someone. Or you see a picture and the picture takes you way back because you see like the people, the place, and it just takes you back and brings back memories, but also makes you feel a certain way. Or I like this. Does the name Pavlov ring a bell? Now, Pavlov, this whole concept of NLP was of anchoring in NLP was also Pavlov did a number of experiments where he would ring a bell and give some dogs food. Ring a bell, give some dogs food. Ring a bell, give some dogs some food. And then after a while, he'd ring the bell and the dogs would just salivate. He'd notice that the dogs were salivating. And so Pavlov did a lot of experimentation. Another natural example is perhaps you were in one mood or one day and you're, like a bunch of things, like and all of a sudden, I don't know, like you just hear something in the background or whatever, and all of a sudden you're in a different mood and you don't even know why. Sometimes, like, there are some of the examples that I've given you are sometimes conscious triggers, but we also have unconscious triggers. Think of this, right? Think of there's someone that goes to work and at work they're stressed. They argue with their boss. They hate. And they're really in a bad mood. And then they come home and the first thing they see is their wife. And what happens is, because they're in a bad mood, they see their wife. Bad mood, they see their spouse. Bad mood, sees their spouse. Next thing you know, he goes and he has a great day, but he comes home and sees his wife and all of a sudden in a bad mood. And he doesn't know why. Like what's happened. And these are the dangers of sometimes anchors and triggers that we have, and when we're unconsciously creating triggers. So I'll tell you a very quick story. When I was at university, I ran for international committee chair, like the president of the international students at my university. And so you have to go, you and people have to vote for you, and I had to go and like lobby and like tell all the different societies, hey, like vote for me, etc. I want to help you guys out. I want to do loads of things. And so basically, there's this election, and on the day, like, I was a bit nervous. I didn't know whether I'd win, and I'm standing there with a couple of guys who were also running. They were two friends. They were running for different things. One was the president of the students union and one was the president of the sports committee. So we were running for different things, but we were standing together when they were announcing the results. And we were all sitting there, we're kind of nervous and etc. And they announce it for this guy, and this guy gets really happy. He's excited. He's so happy, and I'm still waiting for my result. Then they announce it for the second person. The second person gets his result. He's all like happy. He's like excited. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm like nervous. And then it comes to my turn. And I'm like just before the last person, they announce it, and I'm like, I get so excited, I get so happy, etc. And then next thing you know, I'm like hugging this guy, we're like celebrating, and they announced the final person, and then they played this song. They played Queen, where We Are the Champions. So, we are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are, and I'm so excited in that moment. That song, like, literally was, it was the perfect song. The DJ picked it because it was the perfect song. And we were just like, we were loving the song. It was the height of our excitement. We were loving the song, and we were singing. It's like, no time for, and we were really feeling it. And then so that was such a big moment for me. It was such an emotional high, and that song made it so amazing, etc. Anyhow, fast forward a couple of years, and I was traveling. I think I was like in France, and I was just sitting with a friend of mine, and all we were doing was like having a coffee, right? I'm just sitting in a coffee shop, and I was having a coffee. We're just chilling and chatting. A few people standing, etc. And then in the background, this song plays. Now, I didn't consciously register that the song was playing because it was in the background. But all of a sudden, like, we were just chilling, and I just started smiling, and I was like, yeah, like started standing up, and I was like really happy, and the guy's like, what's just happened? I was like, I don't know, I just felt really good. And I was like, I don't know why, I just felt really good. And then all of a sudden, and then it clicked. I heard the song, and I was like, wow, this song just took me back. And because it was playing in the background, I didn't really register it properly, but I got the feelings before the thought. The unconscious part came to me before the thought came to me. So this is how powerful this kind of thing can be. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 keys to effective anchoring. But before I do, I want to also share with you some of the dangers that come with regards to anchoring, right? So I shared with you one of my really positive stories. But there's you can imagine, for example, someone has a close family member pass away, right? A very close family member passes away, and they're really sad. And what happens is a lot of people will go up to the person, and they'll be like, they'll tap them on the shoulder, and they'll just go, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And you'll just keep tapping someone on the shoulder, and just tapping and tapping and tapping, and it's a very big emotional moment for them. And then what will happen is, like, later in the future, someone will come and just be like, oh, hey man, what's up? And they just tap them on the shoulder, and they just all of a sudden the person will just feel bad and they'll have no idea why. That's unconscious anchoring. And that's why it's so powerful, and also can be very, very dangerous sometimes. That's why, when if I see someone is really upset, a lot of people want to go and hug the person and like they're there, etc. I'll tell people, don't touch the person when if they're going through a process, just so that you don't want to accidentally anchor a person. Okay, so all right, let's talk about 5 keys to effective anchoring. How can you do it in a positive way? How can you get like amazing results for people? So let's talk about 5 keys to effective anchoring. Number 1, intensity of emotion. Intensity of emotion. Now, here's if you see the story that I gave, where I was at my university and I had just won, there was an intense emotion over there. Why do we have some people, they have this song that reminds them of that love? Because it was an intense emotion when you were listening to a song, okay? So when you have an intent, and you can recreate that, like when we do our NLP courses, I talk to people about how do you recreate intense positive emotions so that you can anchor them, all right? But what you need is, number 1, you need the intensity of emotion. Number 2 is timing. Like the timing is everything. So if you want to anchor someone, you want to do it while it's kind of on the rise up, and just when it's nearly at its peak, the emotion. Like after the emotion passes, you wait till you said, oh, this day was a very happy day for somebody, and you wait till the emotions passed and they're like about to go to bed, and then they're gonna go, I'm gonna anchor you to happiness because you had a happy day. It's a bit too late, right? So the timing is key. And again, when you go through a course, we explain when is the right time to anchor somebody. But this is the key. When you get it at the right time, and you will create an anchor, sometimes for life, if you get these key ingredients. So number 1 was intensity of emotion. Number 2, timing. Number 3 is uniqueness, okay? So here's what I mean, right? Like if someone is going through an intense experience, like let's say when I was at my university, I won the election, and then someone came and shook my hand, right? And they shook it at the right time. People shake my hand every single day. Well, pre-corona at least, right? Like now nobody wants to shake my hand. Like yeah, you walk outside, you don't even know, to see people you've known your whole life, you don't know how to greet them. You're like, hey. But let's say you have an intense experience, someone shakes your hand at the right time, but the challenge is it's not a unique stimulus. It's not a unique trigger. It's not so it's something that just will wear out very, very, very quickly. So uniqueness is the third key thing that you need for effective anchoring. The fourth thing is making it replicable, right? So what do I mean by making it replicable? So if you want to create an anchor, an effective anchor that you can bring back, it's got to be unique, but it can't be like unique, for example, like, oh, I felt this, so I'm gonna jump out of a plane. That's unique. It may happen at the right time, but it's not something that you can bring back. It's not, or at least bring back very easily, right? It's so how can you create an anchor that you can recreate in the future? Okay, so for example, one of the things that I've done as an effective anchor is, I'll share with you. I've been to a couple of events where I have felt amazing, on fire, like extremely positive, extremely energetic. And then what I wanted to do is I'm saying, okay, I need to anchor this. How do I anchor this? I got some essential oils. And when I felt at the peak of my like happiness, excitement, euphoria, I'd smell this essential oil. there's intensity of emotion. I got the right timing, and then it's a unique thing, like this essential oil. It's not somewhere else, but then I have a bottle of that essential oil, so I can replicate it. I can, when I started to do like a lot of public talks, and I wanted to like get myself amped up and ready, I had a little like cotton band, and I put a couple of drops of this essential oil, smell it, and I go, and I'm ready. I'm ready for action. So this is how I recreated that's the replicable in that sense. And then number of times. So if you do something just once, it might not be very effective, right? It can be if the intensity is super strong and it's such a unique sort of trigger, then it can be. But if you do it a couple of times, if you do it a number of times, if you're talking about a physical anchor, then you touch someone a couple of times to set the trigger, then that will be very, very powerful. So how do you apply anchors? How can you use anchors to your advantage? How do you make the most of it so that, how can you use it in your life, right? So the first one is being able to create emotions on demand. Like I said to you, I've used a lot of anchors when I wanted to do some public speaking. I use anchors now, even before I start any live show. I have my own physical anchors that I use. So that's the first one, right? Creating emotions on demand. Anchoring while you're speaking. Now this is so powerful. When you speak to people, you can anchor different parts of the stage to different things. And I go over all these strategies in my full-on trainings, but it's so important to know that you can anchor to, like on stages, you can anchor to products. For example, if you're selling something. But another one is, and this is a very, very important one, once you understand how anchors work, you are already anchored. Like when we, in NLP, etc., you're not teaching people things that they don't do. You already do all of these things. You're just giving you control over how to do it so that it's not controlling you, you're controlling it. So you already have positive anchors and you have negative anchors. So when you understand how anchors work, you can start to understand and remove negative anchors that are in your life. Like I said to you, the example of someone at a funeral who's been tapped on the shoulder a number of times. That's a very negative anchor. Someone that goes to work and has a stressful day and then sees their spouse. Stressful day, spouse. Stressful day, spouse. All of a sudden, they just come home from a normal day, they see their spouse, and then they get stressed. How do you remove those anchors? And that's also very powerful. So, and then the next thing is in terms of persuasion. How do you anchor feelings to products, right? When you look at all of advertising, a lot of advertising is about anchoring a feeling to a product, right? They anchor feelings to products. So a lot of very effective advertising anchors feelings to products. And then another useful thing is bringing up the right feelings in a conversation. If you know how to anchor and you know and you can start to recognize people's anchors that they already have, you can start to bring up the right feelings in a conversation. You can guide people in the right way and get them to feel certain things. So then and like I said, identifying people's existing anchors. When I talk to someone and someone, whenever they get excited and they say something like, "Oh man, it was amazing," and I was like, boom, and all of a sudden, like they have let me know that this is kind of like an anchor. So if I want them to feel excited, then I'll be like, "Listen, you gotta do this, because you will just feel like on the top of the world. You'll just feel like boom," and they'll be like, "Ooh." Because you can identify people's existing anchors and get them to feel a certain way. So you can start to work with your habits. Like if your habits are typically also associated to anchors and triggers, and you can start to work on those, and you can use tonality. So here's like a pretty advanced one, right? A lot of people know I do some hypnosis, etc. When I do hypnosis, and when I work on do training, etc., and people that have been with me for a while, they'll know that when I do my hypnosis, I do a certain tonality. So I'll start to talk, and then I'll be like, and now begin to feel relaxed and go all the way down. And so all of a sudden, what will happen is, because I use that tonality, only when I'm doing hypnosis, and I've tried this out a couple of times, I'll be like, I'll be speaking to someone that has gone and done trances with me in the past, and if I want them to go into a trance quickly, I'll be like, that's right, and relax. And that's all I'll say, and they'll very quickly start to feel relaxed, right? So you can anchor tonalities to feelings, and this is an advanced technique, etc. And I go over all the applications and advanced ways of using anchoring in our trainings. But hopefully this gives you an overview of all the different ways that you can use of what anchoring is and how it can be used at a top level. And I want to leave you with this, the phrase that pays, the phrase of the day. It's better to pull a trigger than to have a trigger pulled on you. And we all have triggers in life, right? We all have triggers. But at the moment, for many of us, triggers are being pulled on us. It's better to pull a trigger than to have a trigger pulled on you. All right, cool. So with that in mind, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I truly appreciate you. If you haven't, and you want to check out and you want to learn more, check out uaenlp.com. I do a live webinar every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and I talk about this stuff in detail. So other than that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I truly appreciate you. If you have not, please do subscribe. This was another episode of Unconscious Communication. Oops. Man, I'm getting there. There we go. This is another episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on another video real soon. Lots of love. Peace out, and I'll see you on another video soon. Bye now.